Welcome back to Boxes of Lights. Guys, I've got a real treat for you today. It's called Villainous Vikings by Jeremy Saltzford, and it's a victory points game. This one's multiplayer. A lot of folks have asked, can it be played solitaire? And the short answer is not without a variant. Your goal in Villainous Vikings is to amass as many Valhalla points as possible, so that after Ragnarok occurs, your captain has the best seat in Valhalla to tell his tale of battle and drink and mead. You'll gain Valhalla points by raiding, trading and battling the other captains who are also vying for Odin's favour. Victory point games are improving their components all the time. One thing that I wasn't sure they could do, this is the first time I'd seen it, maybe there's other games out there, there are a wealth of games of the VPG that I've not seen. First time I've seen it is custom dice, not just a standard 1 to 6 on a D6. You do have to stick them up, but they give you lots of spare stickers, so if you do mess it up, you're fine. So these are great to see. The tokens are wonderful. They've got these lovely laser cut counters, so they're pretty much unlimited in terms of what they can produce in terms of counters and counter shapes. Look at these wonderful ships. Okay, so we've got various tokens. These are your map cards. These are like places that you're going to be fighting over. Okay, and there's these Asgard cards in here. This is our deck. This is the thing that's going to be the timer for the game. This is the Ragnarok card that signals the end of the game and counting up our victory points. These Asgards, there's a few of them scattered amongst the deck. They allow us to win favour with the gods and get some kind of special. I'll obviously talk about these when I demo gameplay. These are the Viking captains. We'll come back to those in a minute because they're beautiful. These are hero cards. These are people you can fight, trade with, recruit, and when you recruit them, they'll join your ship. Your ship has got 3 sections, a fore and after midsection, and each one of these sections can get burnt out, and it costs 2 gold to repair. We have the traditional jigsaw piece board that these games come with. So let's have a look at these Viking captains. This for me is where, straight out of the box, before we've even started playing, the game has already grabbed your attention. Okay, I love the theme, I like the Viking thing, but there are people in here, these are the people you play. You can be Ragnar Lothbrok and Eric the Red, or Harold Fairhair, Lagertha, Sven Forkbeard, Bjorn Ironside, Glamir and Ivan the Boneless. So these are people you'll know and you'll recognise, and the artworkers, they've pulled out a splendid job. It really sets the theme. So although it's kind of a game where you're traversing a map, you're exploring, you're battling, you're trading, the options aren't vast, but you do really get pulled into the theme. You do feel like you are a Viking captain, captaining your ship, plundering and exploring this world. Let me get set up and I'll show you. A quick dip into setup here. We're going to create this timer of a deck. We've got 8 cards. And there's 3 eras. The card backs show you the era. We've got 1, 2 or 3 on them. So we've got 8 of each. Apart from this last one, we've got 10 here. And we're going to take the bottom 5 and we're going to shuffle this Ragnarok card in there. So this is our timer for the game. Okay. So this guy is going to be somewhere within the bottom 5 cards. We don't know where exactly. Alright, so give that a good old shuffle. And there's our deck for the game, our deck of Villainous Vikings. The first 5 are going to be our initial journey pool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the places we can go and explore, raid, trade with. Okay, and if there's any that would show a hero, like this one here in Armar, then we would put a hero here. This is our deck of hero cards. They don't get shuffled, they don't get dealt. It's just a face-up deck. You can search through and find who you're looking for. So in here it's through Silkbeard, so we're just looking for this guy, and then he's going to be here acting as a captain for this community over here in Armar. Meanwhile our players, they begin up here in the Northlands. They've each got a ship on this beautiful European map, and we're pretty much ready to launch. First thing is we take our starting gold. So I've set up 2-player here, so we've got Harold and Ragnar. So let's say Harold is first player, he gets 0 gold, Ragnar 2, and then if you're playing 3 or 4 players, it'd be 4 and 6 for the second and third, for the third and fourth players respectively. So Harold is red, starts on 0 gold, and Ragnar 2, and he's purple. One thing you're going to see, and you're going to love this, Each of these captains, you know already that there's a variety, will have different abilities, alright? So they've got static abilities that they can use, and ones that kick in if you roll a certain way. So each of the captains is going to play in a different way. You're going to have your own strengths and weaknesses. It's going to offer a different variety for every time you play the game. Now remember the game's objectives. We're trying to score the most Valhalla points. How do we do this? Well, we get these cards. This is the kind of the cards that are available to us right now, and this is going to get replenished from the deck. These points down here in bottom left, as we win these cards into our player areas, they're going to be earning us victory points, these Valhalla points. Also, by having more gold, you get more points. There's also a couple of special awards. We have the Trade Network and Conquest. So the player who's explored the most regions of the map, these coloured regions, and then the Conquest Legacy, the player who is the first to have 3 regions explored, or 3 map cards from the same region. So our aim is to explore around, winning these map and Asgard cards. So what can you do on your turn? Well, the first thing you can do is this journey pool, the available cards that you have to go and explore. If you want to spend your gold, you can actually add to this, and you can put a 6th and a 7th and an 8th cards. It costs 1 gold for the 6th, 2 for the 7th, and 3 for the 8th. So you're going to be earning gold and spending gold. So you can add to the journey pool, but then you're going to end your turn, and obviously the other players will get the first opportunity to go and grab these new cards. But if there's nothing out there that you want or you're completely stuck, you can add to the journey pool. Next thing you can do is, if there is perhaps a card that you want to go and explore, like this one here, Noirmoutier, this region here, you can go and move your ship. So maybe Harold in the red ship would go and move his ship to one of these spots. There's only 2 spots here, so no more than 2 players can go to the same region. The other thing is, if there was already a ship here and you moved in here, you would kick that guy out and they would go to the Northlands, okay? If there's already 2 here. If they choose to, they can intercept. They don't get kicked back to the Northlands, but instead a battle can ensue between these 2 Viking captains. So what do you do when you get to one of these places? Well, you can then choose to raid or trade. Before we talk about raid or trade, let's look at some of the other options available to us on the turn. So we know we can spend gold, add to the journey pool. We can move to one of these places, raid and trade. The next thing we could do is, if there were an Asgard card here, we could go and play this card instead. So we're trying to interact with the gods. This one says, attack an enemy captain. If you lose a section of your crew, you may add this card to your hand, otherwise discard it. Right, and it's got a little reward down the bottom. And this brought up an important point, and that is our crew. Each one of these represents a manned or crewed ship. And obviously if we go and recruit a captain from one of these places, they can come board our ship, and they can then sit here and add their powers to our ship and make us a stronger fighting force. As we lose sections in battle, these sections get turned over and we have to repair them. Okay. Ragnar here has a great ability. It says per empty longship crew section we get stronger. So this is an empty crew section, a section that's been destroyed. Okay, we repair it. Our crew goes up to full strength again, and you can see he's got these squares, these coloured squares. That reflects the dice we roll in battle. Okay. As it goes, we're trying to play a solitaire variant here. Okay, so as I show you the 2-player game, when I talk about how the 2-player, 3-player, 4-player game works, I'm just going to try and show you how I have developed a solitaire variant. It's early days. I'm going to put it up on my website, boxesdelights.net, and develop it as I play. And feel free to offer your own comments as well. So first thing we're going to do is roll a d6. And we rolled a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Lindisfarne. So Harold is off to Lindisfarne, famously sacked by the great heathen army in 790, I'm guessing 793, somewhere around the 8th century, so quite a while ago, but they did a number on those poor monks up at Lindisfarne. Next I'm going to grab that one, give that to Harold, and we'll replenish from the deck. Excellent, we've got an Asgard event. Let's move me down here so we know what's occurring. Now notice I rolled a d6 here, so the idea here is 5 here. If I rolled a 6, he would have done nothing, he'd have gone back to Northlands and regrouped. If he'd have hit an Asgard event, we'll just discard it, job done. Okay, it's just a lost opportunity for us. Right, so our aim is to amass as many Valhalla points as we can. The difference between our score and Harold's score is going to be our solitaire victory score. Right, so it's our turn. Let's see what we want to do with ourselves. Well, let's go to Armagh, because here we have Sigurd Silkbeard. Armagh's in a different region, over here in Ireland, so we don't have to fight Harold just yet. I want to show you each option one at a time, so let's start with the raid. The first thing to note is that our prowess in battle is determined by the strength of our ship. We've got 3 cards face up, that means our long ship is fully manned. We'll get a red die, a white die, a grey die. These ones are more attacking, they've got more swords on them. These ones have got more shields, more defensive, grey somewhere in the middle. Shields will soak up our enemy's swords. Our swords will do damage to our enemy. And then we also have these hammers. And these will trigger our specials. Ragnar, being a very aggressive warrior like Captain, will get extra swords for each hammer. So a white hammer will give him 2 swords of grey. 3 and a hammer on the red die will be a battle frenzy. We negate all opponents' hammer abilities for this battle. So we'll kick things off by rolling our dice. And we got a good result. Very aggressive, not very defensive. So we got 5 swords, 1 shield. The combat dice our opponent shows depends on the location. So you can see here in Armagh it's 1 red die. Just roll a die for the enemy, it's 1 red die. Pretty easy, huh? He's got 1 shield and 1 sword. A nice easy target, but it is only worth one Asgard point, 1 victory point if you like. Let's take a closer look at what's occurred here. This guy is a mercenary. Okay, this is shown by the icon here in the top left. There's different types of heroes. This guy here, Osbach, he has crossed swords. He's a convert. He will fight for the location. And this guy here is a boss. He has this skull and crossed hammers. He'll fight for the location. The mercenary won't. He's not going to add his static abilities in the battle for the location. He doesn't care. He's on nobody's side. He doesn't care if we win or lose. So the outcome of the battle is determined just by the dice here. It's 1 sword, 1 shield versus 5 swords and 1 shield. Ragnar, he didn't roll any hammers, so none of his extra abilities come into effect, and his static doesn't take effect because he doesn't have any empty long ship sections. So it's 5 swords versus 1. And the first thing we do is calculate damage. We will take away our number of shields from their number of swords. It's 1, take away 1, which leaves them with 0. They've done no damage to us. If I had rolled no swords, it wouldn't have mattered actually, because they'd only done 1 damage, and we start from right to left on our ship. So this section will take damage first, and it takes 2 swords, 2 attack strength to knock out that section of the ship. So with just 1 damage, it's not going to do enough. We're just going to soak that up, and this remains intact. Okay, so he's done no damage to us. Now we have to figure out who's victorious in the battle, and this is where we just count the number of swords. That's the attack strength. So it's 1 versus, I'll switch that around, 1 versus 5. So we've got more, we are victorious in this battle. Now unfortunately, that means the mercenary, seeing us victorious in battle, just wanders off, and he's going to go to the discard pile. We've lost the opportunity to recruit this mercenary. The only way to recruit a mercenary is to trade, not to raid. Okay, so raiding here loses me this mercenary. This guy goes off to the discard pile. Okay. However, what I have done is I've raised this location. I've raided this location. This is now conquered territory. I can take this and place it in my player area. It's only 1 victory point. Now the other thing is, it's earned me this sword. This is the sacrifice ability of the card, and what that means is in a future battle, if I wanted to sacrifice this card, lose the 1 victory point, I could add a sword to the battle, but this would get discarded. Okay, I'd lose that end game, that Valhalla point. There's also an immediate reward, and that's in the bottom right. This is a gold reward for raiding this particularly weak territory. In this case, it's just 1 gold. So what we'll do is we'll take our marker and we'll move it up 1 spot. We're now on 3 gold. We've ended our turn. All we need to do now is refill the empty spot in the journey card pool, and the turn passes to the next player. So let's roll the dice for Harold. He's rolled a 6, so he's not going to do anything. He's going to head back to the Northlands. The only thing to add is if they do miss a card and they head back to the Northlands, they would regroup here and from the left forward get to recover 1 section of their ship for free. Okay, so this is how your opponent replenishes their crew. I forgot, they also have a reward for Lindisfarne. That was 2 gold. They should be on 2 gold here. Okay, back to my turn. What I'd like to do though is rewind and just show you how we can trade instead. So let's put this back. Let's put Sigrid back. And instead of raiding, we will go there and trade. So put our gold back on 2. And now look at our options, right? We're not raiding this time, we're trading. Well, the first thing we could do is we pull into port, and we've come as a friendly, we're not here to raid, is we could replenish our crew. We could try and get some crew members to fill back up our ship. So if we had taken the damage somewhere, we could pay 2 gold, recruit some crew, they're going to come back on board, and we're back up to full strength. The next thing we can try and do is bribe the guards here at this location. And this isn't a very good example because there's only 1 die here, but what you can do is if this were a stronger location, it rolled more than 1 die, then what you can do is turn the card sideways, and that reminds you that they roll 1 less die. They'll always roll a minimum of 1, and that means on a subsequent turn when you raid, you've already got a foot in the door, if you like, but it's going to cost you 2 gold to do that. The final thing we can do, and this is what's more interesting, is we can try and hire a mercenary. So if we wanted to hire this guy, the Sea King of Dublin, then we just pay his cost, which is 2 gold, and this guy would join our crew. He now fights for us. Finally, actually there's one more thing you can do, but we don't have enough gold. If we had it, we could actually buy the loyalty of this location. Instead of raiding it and putting it in our player area, we could pay the cost. Not every location has a cost, but this one has a cost in the top right here. This is the loyalty cost, and it's 4. We could pay 4 gold, forsake the battle, just buy their loyalty and take this into our player area. As it stands, we're in a good position to raid this place next time. The only risk associated with taking the mercenary now instead of raiding it is there's now 2 cards in the green location in Ireland. So when Harold takes his turn now, there's a good chance that he'll come and fight me in Ireland. So let's finish up by showing you exactly how that works, because we've pretty much covered everything now apart from this player versus player battle. Now this is where things get a little bit more tricky playing solitaire. So, I mean, first off, the static abilities don't always apply. I mean, this one says all trade and loyalty costs are reduced by half, which is no benefit to Harold at all. So you're going to have more success against some heroes than others, captains than others. So, this is a nice way perhaps to just, float the difficulty a little bit. But at this point, what normally happens is that you're going to play player versus player, and then a real person would have, a choice about whether they wanted to sacrifice these cards or not to boost up their defense or their attack. We've got to make that decision for the solitaire player, and the way to do that is just to use a basic rule. They'll use an extra shield, sacrifice a location for its shield if it will stop one of their sections getting defeated. They'll sacrifice a card for a sword if it means they'll take out an extra section in doing so of your ship. Okay, so pretty simple rule. Follow that with also, that they'll always use the cards with the lowest victory point value first. Okay, so let's just go PvP. We've got yellow-black red, so we'll roll our dice to have this battle ensue. I get an extra sword because of my mercenary now that I'm carrying. We'll do the same for Harold. He has white, grey, red, because we've not managed to knock any sectors of his out yet. And he rolled 2 swords, a hammer and a shield. So we've got some big abilities kicking in. Now the red hammer for Harold gives him 2 extra shields and 2 swords. So his attack strength is now 4, his defence is 3. Pretty good. However, the bad news for Harold is that Ragnar also rolled a hammer, and it's a red one, Battle Frenzy. And this one says that it negates all the opponent's hammer abilities for this battle. So again, you can see how playing Ragnar is going to give you a little bit of an edge over your opponent solo player. Right, let's count up our battery then. So we have 3 swords, no shields. They have 2 swords, 1 shield. But I've also got 1 from my hero. Sometimes heroes have sacrifice abilities as well, which can add to battle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Minus 1 is 3. That's enough to take out that ship sector. Now, even if you sacrifice this one, and they can only sacrifice 1 card per battle, it would take the damage down to 2. That's still not enough to save this section of their longship. So they're not going to sacrifice. They're going to take the damage. In terms of damage on us, this doesn't count, it's 2. I've got no shields, so I'm afraid I've lost a section of my ship as well. But who wins in battle? I've got 4 swords, I've got 4 attack strength, they've got 2, I'm victorious. The good thing about winning a battle is the loser is forced back to the Northlands, and the victor gets to replenish one of their crew sections. And this kind of reflects the fact that they have taken some captives. The net result is they've got a damaged ship, they've lost their turn, they're back in the Northlands, and the turn passes back to us. And this is how we continue, this is the game, this is how you explore. I mean, you can up the difficulty by adding a second opponent. You know, that's more chances then of having some interaction, and for the journey card pool recycling much quicker as cards come in and out, and thereby getting through this deck a little quicker. Obviously playing multiplayer, there's lots of decisions to be made around collecting and going for these rewards, and players may end up vying over territories, and conflict over one particular territory becomes stronger because these things are really important, and they play an important key part in the game, knowing when to use your cards, which areas have got the most attractive heroes to go after. So okay, really, multiplayer, there's lots of elements to make this thing going, but, you know, you asked, and I'm here to try and deliver. If you want a simple little solo variant to try out, give it a go. But what I'm inviting you to do is, you know, you've seen the film, go and play it with your mates, that's the way it should be played. But if you want to come and have a little go at this and get it on the table and get enlivened by the theme, make some comments, give me some ideas on how we could develop this as a solo gaming experience. But it wasn't designed as a solo game, right? That's not the way it's meant to be played. This is player versus player, captain versus captain, fighting over territory, fighting for victory, fighting over these limited resources that are here on the table, and that's where the action is. This is where this game shines, and this is where you can get into the character of Ragnar and Harold, of Ivar the Boneless, Glamir, Bjorn, Sven, Lagertha. These are the people that you want to be in and struggle over this territory. I mean, this is a small territory, and you know that's how it was back then. You know, this was, you know, they were fighting over the same territory. Lovely game, really well presented, lovely artwork. I will try and see if I can get something out of it solitaire, but you know, it is lots of fun with your mates. That's it for now. See you next time.